When a person has a stroke, becomes chronically ill or has special needs, their loved ones often suffer as well, taking care of them. And in the process, they may experience what's known as caregiver burnout. Leong Wai Kit visits 2 families to put the spotlight on what caregivers go through and what sort of help is available for them.
We started to notice that something was not right when he was about 3 years old. The main thing that struck me was he repeats what you say. So one day I decided to ask him a very simple yes-no question. So I asked him, so Ketan, are you hungry? Yes or no? He said no. And almost immediately I said, so Ketan, are you hungry? No or yes? And he said yes. So that's when I realized, something is not quite right here.
At first, the Chuganis had difficulty coping with the diagnosis that Ketan had moderate autism.
I wouldn't say that we were not emotionally affected. We were. I think the first couple of days it was like a blank. It's like, okay, now it's confirmed, our suspicions are right. What do we do from here? There's a lot of aspects that we were worried about. But we also understood that there are a lot of things that we wouldn't be able to address right away. What we decided to do was to, okay, let's take this one step at a time. Let's see what's best for him now.
Their strategy worked. Ketan's now 10 and due to early intervention, he's coping well. But that hasn't stopped the Chuganis from worrying.
Sometimes we need to check each other. I think it's quite natural that there are days when I'm down because of certain things that I'm worried about for him, and there are certain days when she is down. But it is important that the other person steps up and says, okay, don't have to worry too much, and we will work together to help him through.
Some caregivers are fortunate to have a strong support network, but even then, it's not always easy to care for a loved one, especially when you're doing it alone.
Always I try to relax. If not, I cannot sleep for the whole night. The next day I will get giddiness. Myself, I cannot get sick, right? If I get sick, who to look after them?
47-year-old Jesslyn Ong has been a homemaker for 22 years. She had planned to return to the workforce after her eldest of 3 sons turned 21. But early last year, her mother was diagnosed with a skin condition which doctors said could be cancerous. And that was just the beginning. Her father was also taken ill.
He get a stroke after 1 week. At the bus stop when we are going to visit my mother, I hold him one side. The other hand, I call the ambulance to come. Every time when I pass by the bus stop, because it's nearby here only, I will think of that. I hate the chair that he's sitting there. That is the problem. So I try not to go to the bus stop and take a bus. When they are in hospital, I have to run from KK hospital to Changi the whole day. After about 7 o'clock, then I reach home to cook for my family. After 2 months, I saw in the mirror that my whole hair was white. I feel very funny. I went to the salon and asked. They said I stressed, too stressed. It's true, I not enough sleep. The time when I travel in and out from this hospital to another hospital to look after them, just 5-10 minutes look, I feel very happy. Even Chinese New Year, I also celebrate in the hospital.
Jesslyn's mother is recovering, but Jesslyn still spends a large part of her time caring for both parents.
After they come back from hospital, morning 7 I have to reach the house, at night time 7 o'clock I go back. So if I go back, I have to do my housework. I don't think I was strong, I just doing my parts as a kid. I have a child to look after parents when they are old, when they are sick. I just admit to whatever happened, this is fated.
Experts say stress and caregiver burnout can happen to anyone, especially if the caregiver is the only one shouldering the responsibility.
I think people who in general don't share their difficulties and their troubles with people who tends to keep things to themselves, if they have that early awareness, then they seek help and start to talk to someone about it, then it would help definitely. Anger and resentment, all this build up, and they also start to feel very isolated and not talk to other people, even family members.
Caregiver burnout is also likely when a person is physically, emotionally and mentally exhausted.
Well, it's not uncommon to hear of caregivers feeling annoyed, frustrated even with those whom they're caring for. In Singapore, about 180 cases of elderly abuse take place each year. Some experts say about 1 in 3 such cases stems from caregiver stress.
But there's hope in the form of support groups for specific caregivers, such as those looking after loved ones with mental illnesses, dementia, physical disabilities or children with autism. These groups educate caregivers about the medical conditions and how they can better cope with them. They also provide a setting for caregivers to share their challenges and feelings and work out solutions together. But caregivers who need help must first recognize that they need it and understand some telltale signs.
Start to be wary of changes in their mood and their daily behaviors, like if they are getting easily irritable compared to last time, getting angry over every little thing, and even physically also they can feel very worn out and probably very tense and body aching, frequent headaches.
And there's help available too. They include helplines set up by the Samaritans of Singapore, Care Corner or Senior Helpline. Or when taking their loved ones for medical checkups, caregivers can, at the same time, talk to doctors about their stress. For those who seek comfort in their faith, religious groups have welfare arms to lend a helping hand. Even friends or neighbors can chip in by alerting staff at their residence committees, community centers or family service centers. In 2006, a formal support network was set up to look into the well-being of caregivers. The AWA Center for Caregivers is a central contact point for caregivers. It has helped so far about 30,000 people, giving counseling or training to look after loved ones. Today, there are also more workshops targeting caregivers, a sign that such awareness is increasing.
Many caregivers feel guilty for taking care of themselves, but experts say not doing so may affect the quality of care for their loved ones. Meanwhile, the community can play a bigger role to boost this support network by looking out for their friends and neighbors.